This is Initiation into Hermetics from the PDF file in the description below for the download. This is the first exercise in step 5, and this is about transferring your consciousness into the center of a bunch of objects that you choose. It can be like anything, a phone, a pen, a lamp, your computer screen, anything. What you do is you sit in the sauna position, close your eyes, think about any particular object you choose to start with, and then with your imagination transfer your consciousness to the center of it. You don't want to concentrate or visualize it. You just want to think about it, and then imagine you transfer the center point. So your whole center, your sense of being, will be this object that you're transferring your consciousness to. And then transfer it into it and sit there in it and condense it down to a small little particle within the object. And now sit there and become the object and feel all your surroundings. Surrounded by this inanimate object with no life to it, and you're sitting in the middle of it. Your whole universe and everything you are experiencing is from the perception or from being this object. And notice everything around you from it. So what you want to do is try and do it for 5 minutes. You want to do 2 or 3 objects. They can be all different shapes and sizes. It's good to start with a symmetrical object at first, and then take an unsymmetrical object, and in each case just transfer yourself into it. So you're in the center point of this object, focus on the center of it, and with your imagination you transfer your consciousness to it. You're in the middle of it, and now you see out of it and see the whole world around you from the viewpoint of this object. And you want to be able to do it for 5 minutes with at least 2 or 3 objects. And from there, take some that's a weird shape. Take some that has a strange shape to it. It could be anything. Whatever has a strange shape, not quite symmetrical, and try and get it to the center point of that, and experience what it's like to be inside that. And so you're actually, when you do this, you actually be looking out from the center of it. It'll be this dead inanimate object. You'll be this living thing with your living consciousness within it, and you'll be looking out from it. You might even be able to see yourself from the viewpoint of the object that you've transferred yourself into it. You'll probably see the room around you from the viewpoint of it, and it's going to become your whole universe. And you are no longer you. You are another object compared to the one that you've transferred your consciousness into. And so he says each time you go, you want to transfer your consciousness in the center of any object. You feel yourself as small as a poppy seed, even an atom. So you really want to condense yourself as you put yourself in the center of the object. And you want to be able to do it for 5 minutes, 2 or 3 different objects. Like it says here, from your point of view, the selected object represents a whole universe. You must hold on this feeling as long as possible. So the object, when you transfer your consciousness into it, this is your entire universe. This object could be like, let's say it's a phone or something. So the phone is your whole universe, and your consciousness is surrounded by this universe, which is your phone. Or it could be, a box of food or something. And you become a part of it. That's your whole universe from the viewpoint of it. You want to be able to sit in that and experience it for 5 minutes. And also what he's talking about is when you do this, you can also manipulate and change the power of the object. Also, you can influence it with a desire to transmute it to something other than its original form. And also, so you want to do that. That'll probably take you, I would probably work on it for a day. To do that with symmetrical objects, unsymmetrical ones, transfer yourself into it from the sauna position, eyes closed, and be able to do it for 5 minutes with no disturbances. So you actually, the object will become your whole world as you sit inside it. And then also, once you do that, I would spend like a day on just inanimate objects, ones with strange shapes, ones with normal symmetrical shapes. Until you get that down, you feel you've plateaued, and you're able to transfer yourself into it, so you become these objects. And also, at the same time, you obtain the faculty to influence every object from the nucleus, to load it magically at will, and to impregnate the mental sphere of every object with your desire. So I was just saying that you could actually take an object and charge it up to have some power to it, whatever you might want to put into it. And if you do that for a day, the next part is to do with animals and human beings, and also objects that are directly before your eyes. And he's saying here that your consciousness knows no bounds. So you can literally transfer your consciousness to the center of an animal, a human being, regardless of where they are. You just need to think about it, and then find the center point with your imagination of the animal, human being, and then transfer yourself into it. And you want to do that probably, he doesn't say anything about the time limit, but probably 5 minutes. Choose a bunch of animals and a bunch of people, and try to transfer yourself, experiencing them. As if you did like a cat or something, the cat would become your whole universe. Now you'd be a part of this living thing, and you're a little speck within it. As you shrink down your consciousness and your sense of being, and transfer it into it with your imagination, until you are seeing everything from the viewpoint of like this cat, living cat. And that's your whole universe looking around. And then he's talking, the last part of this is about doing it to yourself. You sit in the sauna position, and then transfer your consciousness exactly in the middle of your body, pit of your stomach. And so you're going to feel yourself as a little speck within you. And your consciousness will be, like he says here, in the pit of your stomach. So you'll be seeing everything from the pit of your stomach. Your whole sense of being will be transferred down. And meditate as far as I'm the center of my body. I'm the determined power within. It says it take a few seconds at first, and you have to keep doing it until you're able to do it for 5 minutes. So it says here, working through this step, the scholar should be able to transfer himself at any hour in every situation into this depth point, into the Kasha principle. From there, perceiving influence all that governs his being. So in other words, you could transfer your consciousness into the pit of your gut. And then if you want to develop some characteristic of desire, you could sit there from the viewpoint of the center of yourself, and just use imagination, and with total conviction that it's going to happen, and transfer and change how you think, or bring about desires you're interested in, or whatever. And this is here, he's just talking about, he mixed up with state produced by spiritualist mediums. But mostly a lot of mischief is done. Shift the consciousness. So he's saying if you do that, you could get, elementals, deceased people, so low beings to induce the astral body together with the material body. So you could screw up and open yourself up to some if you're not totally concentrated on it. So basically on this first exercise, it's just taking 3 symmetrical objects, transfer yourself to the center of it, becomes your whole universe. Then to find things that are unsymmetrical, because they're a little more difficult, because there's no, it's not even. Try to find the center point with your mind, transfer yourself into that. Then do animals, then do human beings. Probably 5 minutes for each one of these with the objects and the weird shaped objects. Animals, human beings, then finally with yourself. And so probably this whole first step of this first exercise, step 5, you probably, I would say maybe a day or 2, 3 days, until you feel you've plateaued and you can do it for 5 minutes before you move on to the next exercise in the step.